Hello, am I audible? Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Myself, Khushbu Verma, Technical Solution Specialist for Structure at Capricorn Technologies Private Limited. I would like to welcome you all for today's session on a step towards collaborative building design. In this session, I'll be talking about why we should shift from 2D to 3D working environment. So before going into the session, allow me to introduce our organization, Capricorn Technologies. Capricorn is India's leading design and construction management technology solution provider for architecture, engineering, and construction. We are one of the largest Autodesk Platinum partner. We have more than 300 dedicated team members and a Capricorn serving over 20,000 clients in AC and related industries. We are delighted to inform you that we have a global footprint to serve you with best of our abilities. Capricorn is now a part of Arkins Group. So we shall now move into today's agenda. So before moving to today's session, I would like to introduce one of my colleague, Anurag. He is a technical solution specialist for architecture. From here, he will take the session. So Anurag, please take the session from here.
Thank you, Khushbu. And yeah, just a second. So in today's session, we are going to cover our agenda, which is primarily based upon why should we shift from an 2D environment to an 3D environment. So here is our first point where we will compare why should we move from a 2D environment to 3D. That is when all of the peoples or the other industry people, they generally work upon an 2D environment, that is CAD-based solutions, and where they use for drafting and doing the detailing portion to it. And we should look why should we opt for an Revit part of it, and where we can have a 2D to a 3D portion directly at the same time, pitching upon the same things. Second, we will be looking upon how to set up a project based on the Revit interface, and how should we start designing over over that phase. Third, we will be looking at how Revit helps us in generating number of data which can be shared at any point of time during the from its conceptual stage to its final deliverabilities. And we will also be looking at certain parameters that are guided through families, which we basically use, and how they are parametric and how they help us to be flexible in each part of a step, and how we can fetch out the data from it as well. Fifth one, we'll be looking at the introspectivity part, where we will be looking how we can how a Revit is intermerged with other solutions, so we can have same and different outputs at the same time. And last, we will be looking at certain new features that are available to us in Revit 24. So let's just begin the things with a poll. I think Ria can hand over this poll. So according to the poll, we can identify that most of the people over here, users are engineers and architects, and there is a mixed profile to it. So we will be dealing with how we can merge those things into our aspects and how to lead from an architect, how an architect leads his design, and how we can collaborate with different consultants at the same time. So that is how Revit helps us. So here we are. So why should we shift from an 2D environment to an 3D environment? So on the left hand portion, you can see it's an CAD image, and whereas on the right hand portion, you do know that it's an Revit portion of it. So while working together, how does it helps? So it helps basically, we have to not draft it again and again at the same point of time. From 2D environment, we can transfer directly things into a 3D format, and we can save a lot of time in it, and we can also collaborate. There is also features of collaborating on to the Revit portion where we have number of teams working on a similar sort of projects. So that's why Revit is quite useful to us. And in the transitioning portion, we can see that we have a 2D plan, which is an CAD-based drawing. And at the same time, while preparing those drawing, we can get an desired output at our end at a conceptual level. What is going to be its massing and how is it going to look, how we can visualize it at the earlier stage of a portion according to our designs. So that's basically why should we use the Revit. More detail to it is because like a number of team collaborators can collaborate on a single space and can work according to their aspects accordingly, sharing files to a single source of data to maintain its truth as well. So we will be dealing with certain shared parameters with the families, and where we will see how we are going to assign the parameters to a family. And when we are importing those family or exporting those families to a project, we can have those inputs and we can change them according to our desired aspects. So we are going to see this in our first part. And of course, we are going to look at the introspectability, which is from a Twinmotion, which is a product of Epic project. So Revit do have an introspectability directly linking our model cloud to a cloud sharing as well as to a space where we can change it according to our use. So even if I change those things which are interlinked on my Revit model to an cloud-based sharing, that is Twinmotion, which gives us an animation or render images. So at those time we can synchronize those things and we will get a direct modification at the other end as well. So third is one of the new features that has been added in this part of Revit 24, that is our Topo Solids. Earlier, it was Topo Surface, where we used to have lines on a single surface with the points. And now it has been converted into a form of solids, which help us to identify the correct elevations. We can make cutouts cutout quantities to it. So it's a new add-on feature which works on mesh on part, I would say. And coming to the textures and visualization styles. So this is one of the another icon which has been available in version of 24, where we can directly, without applying to the parts of materials, we can directly switch on to a visual style panel where we will get all the environment that is associated with our image and its material types. And there is also an availability of dark theme in 2024 version, where we know earlier we were working on the white background. So certain things according to an user modification has been modified in this part, and where we can also have our dark theme and we can work simultaneously on 4 of these screens working together. And these are based on the parameters. Earlier, we can just have on the room text and this time we can log them as well on the profile. So this also helps us in improving our productivity at the same time, because what happens usually is when we tag one on one, uh, same tagging is being done with two on the same parameters. So we will be moving on to our live demo portion, and we will look at how we can uh, create a project and how we can move from a 2D environment to a 3D environment. I hope my screen is visible. We can also open one of the files like, sorry, just a second. So here I am at creating a new file and a new project. So that is based upon how we need, on which discipline I am working upon. Like if I am an architect, I would be working on the architectural template of it. If it's structural, so these are already pre-decided. Like if I'm working on MEP, I would be dealing with the system templates over there. So in this way, we have to choose a desired format, because the all the settings onto the template will be done accordingly to the as per the user, and it has a certain default template which helps us to set all the metrics and all the datas, where we don't have to work again and again on the same part of it. I will be going on the architectural template. I will be clicking OK to it. So here I am at my screen where I can see four of the cursors to here, which is my project browser screen and working space. So right now I am at level 0 itself. So we will be dealing with certain things like how to start up with drawing. So first of all, we'll have to set the units to it. So U and enter. And on which of the units I would be working, I will select like distance, particularly if I choose mm, I can work upon that, as well as, yeah, so for me it's okay that something is, we can set those things like volume in metric cube to cube, area to meter square and feet square if your units are accordingly. Right now I'm choosing just millimeters to it. Click on OK. So that's how we set up an unit. Now I would be going on the architectural tab, and I will place certain grids so it can align me how I'm working on them. The same time, you can pick on certain times and you can change its distance. You can group them, and you can work on the part of group. If I draw the vertical end of it, I'm taking certain small portions to it only right now. You can draw it individually, you can group them, you can give a particular offset to here from this end, and you can have multiple grids at the same time as well. Suppose if I need a particular distance between these two grids while doing, so I can just set that as like 3000 this time. So while doing this, I will just go on to draw certain walls according to the architectural drawing. That's WA. And here you can see on the properties panel, there is a block where I get my generic wall, and I can draw that. Simple sort of drawing, nothing more over here. If this is my grid, I will draw like this. So right now you can see I have drawn a 2D plan, and when I move on to the 3D portion of it, you can see it automatically creates a 3D part. Whereas on AutoCAD, we are just drawing it on the 2D level. And again, we have to work for 3D in different softwares. But over here, it parts us with a knowledge that with 2D, we can do 3D and develop our basic model. And then we can transfer those models onto our different softwares or different part of solutions to fetch out certain other data to it. So right now it's quite high. And you can see as I haven't set the levels as well. So on the portion of elevations, we'll be going on to certain elevation, and you can see over here that we do have levels that are associated with. Just pick up the point, and here is my wall, as you can see. What I will be doing is, you can see we can also create certain different levels by copying it, or we can also go on to the architectural tab and create levels from here as well. Copy like level 2. If I need to have particular distance, I will select it. And for example, I just need 3000 mm over here. Top finish floor. And you can name as well, like first floor slab, first floor finish floor level, FL. Yes, I need that. And similarly over here in the floor plans on the project browser, we can also associate that according to these names once we define those things. And what I will be going to do is going on to the 3D portion or just on the floor plan level 0. I will pick entire thing and I will say, for example, this wall. So you can see over here that its level is 0 with its space constrained and its top constant is unconnected. So I will make it like from to a first floor level. So now it as particularly this wall will be associated at a height of 4000 mm. I will click say apply and OK. So you can see now this wall is like 4000 mm. Now we will see something else like how shear parameters helps us. So I'm just going to place certain walls, windows and doors with this. So suppose I place window and so here you can see window appears, right? And so this is a glass, single glass window. I'm clicking on it. I'm choosing, so over here you can see its default sill height is 1200 and its head height is 2100 100. So over here we have to change those parameters. So we would be going on to edit type. We can duplicate if we need to just make certain a new things to it, like a simple copy version of it. So we can change its name, change its height and type, and we can create another type of it. But over here, just say these are my dimension points where broad projections are based, rough width, height, and other parameters that are associated with particular window are given. So if I need to change its height like 1200 and say apply, so you can see it has been modified onto a working panel and 3D part of it. So this is how it helps by creating a shared sort of parameters, but it do not only appear on the part of edit type. Now if we have created, this has been like instant type. So if we just want to create it with a shared using parameters, so our all the text would be appearing onto our property browser again. And when we will be shifting this window family particularly to any of the projects, it will be it will be giving a tag mark over there where we will be having the parameters, and we can simply change them according to the edit type. So uh, so how do we create this shared sort of parameters? So moving on to the manage tab, we do have shared parameter options over here. While going on to the shared parameters, what we will be going to do is like we can create or we can browse it. So it's a form of txt file where we will be creating all those parameters. So I have already created one of it, which has been assigned a particular location where I have saved that txt file, and I have given a number of parameters based on to the part of it. So it's not a particularly to this window associated, but it's associated with one of the bridges I was working upon to make it parameter. So it was like I have given and associated those particular family with pcap, height, depth, and so on other parameters. While choosing a group, so group is the dimensioning group, which you can see on the left hand portion on the properties. And onto the parameters, we can assign certain new parameters, we can give the dimensions, and we can associate those parameters directly. So while doing this, okay, moving back onto my architectural tab, and over here we will be having certain property palettes, WN, or we can have certain door as well. Suppose just for an instance, I'm placing it anywhere. So on the similar note, we can now here is the property palettes that appears onto the window of door. While doing it, see, so there is this parameter and its value. So what does this means? Like door panel width is 852 and door panel height is 20, where I cannot edit. So this is an instant type of property where I can't make changes to those properties. But on the back portion of it, we can see over the dimension, as I have shown, we have created a group of dimension where we have assigned a parameters to it associated with its width, depth, and height, and so on. So here we can have these thicknesses and with the particular value that we have associated on the family, and these are editable. So as we change them, our windows and doors will be working and will be changing accordingly. So that's how the shared parameter helps us in giving certain sort of information and validating it and updating it on the project side as well. Now, there is one more beautiful aspect of 2024, which will be working on TopoSolids. So just for instance, I am deleting all these things. And I will import a CAD file, which is my topo surface. I'll be moving on to my insert tab, import a CAD. From here, say I have this file, I have to choose center to center is correct. You can say level 0 and just import the file. It takes certain time. I think it has appeared, but it's cut plane and it's visibility graphic. We have to check that once. On the 3D portion, we can see it hasn't came right now. Just I will be doing it again then. Level 0, import a CAD file. Is this file ref control? Yes. Think it should appear. It is yet not. Let me just open a new file then. And let's clear out. New architectural template. Okay. Let's just check whether it is coming on our new file or not. Yes. It's going on to insert, import the CAD file. Can move from ref control drawing center to center, right? Close this. So this should appear now. System is working quite slow. Yeah, so it appears over here. So whether I don't have this property palette that I can see. So moving back to on manage and view, I need my property browser again. Just check it out. Yeah. So now my property palette is again up there. Over here, you can see there is this file, which is our CAD file. And we can refer it and we can give a particular reference and we can say like query. So what layers on the CAD file does it contain? So it will show me that. So over here, it shows me like topo minor is the layer name and topo major and topo minor basically. So whatsoever field is associated with topo, we will be looking at that aspect itself. So now we would be just going to Massing Insight, create a topo solid from our created import option. Create it from a CAD. Yeah. So here are the number of layers that are associated with our file. And I will say like the topo. I just need the topo surfaces. That is major and minor that are X part of it. I will check none. Whatsoever I need, I will just check on to them itself. From here, I have all the topo surface lines. If just click it on topo, yeah. Say okay. So as soon as I have done check into those elements, it has created a topo solid to a surface, and we can see its elevation as well. It just picked the individual point according to the reference, and it has created a topo solid over here. And even we can do if it's visible to us in plan, no, because it's cut plane and its height from level is quite high. I will associate it with level 0 and check apply to it. I think it should be visible to me. Cut plane is quite high. Anyways, not an issue. and simply we can use these levels and it would have, yeah, it had appeared over here. And we will be going back onto the masking inside, say levels. So we can just click on this, and over the particular line, we would have got the levels over here. As you can see, it already appeared, which has taken the CAD data itself directly. I can edit this and make it, make this type style of level as say 100 mm. This way we can do. Now we would be switching on to our next part where we have to see the introspectability with other elements, other products, which is Twinmotion. And I will be sharing this part, my screen. I will import a file where we can directly do it from the Revit. There is an option of syncing and managing it, but it also depends on your system at the same time. Just going to take any of my file, which will be OBJ or FBX. My desktop. So this is my file. So open. And here on the options, we can choose whether we have to collapse the material by material or by hierarchy and all. So if I'm working on the material part of it, a building associated with certain materials, we have to implant that material directly onto those surfaces. So I will collapse by material itself. I will take this top and we'll just import this file. It will take certain time. Yes, so we are into a space and we can see that this is the block. And as I said, it depends on the system, so it took a lot of time over here. So just going on through how it helps us. So this helps us in visualization. And over here on the left hand side, you can see the library portions where we can apply certain materials to it just while dragging and dropping it. Just I need this glass facade. I have number of glass options over here. Suppose I have chosen a clear glass, I will drag it and I will drop this. See, so this has been done. Similarly, on the surface, suppose I need certain metallic textures to it. So I can develop those as well. So I will go on to materials pack and over here, suppose metal. Even over here, you can change its ground starting and its certain, if you need certain lightings to be changed on, settings of an sky, all those things can be done. Let's choose something good, which has certain texture. Yeah, so I can see here to the aluminum, I suppose this surface. I can just drag and just drop this. Now you can see the entire look has been modified. And you can set those grunges over here. You can scale them. You can set its velocity on the right hand side of it and other features as well. You can just have certain properties dialog and you can change it accordingly. Just go and just say ambience. I need certain ambience. And we can create, export and import the videos from it. Like just show you regarding certain ground textures library. So here's the environment. So you can even set the environment on which you are working for, like evening, cloudy, windy seasons can also be set it. So that can be done. Likewise, you have seen this. It changes its entire aspects. Yes. You can develop something that is quite good. Rainy effects and certain more things to it. Yeah, see, this is windy with this. And plant some of the vegetations. Just for an instance, we can drop, you can just drop it. Exactly. And even with a single entity, you can do with multiple trees as well by having over here on the property panels or populate. You can have the scatter option and you can have n number of trees at the same time. So this is how it implants so other trees as well, bring them as well to the surface. And then we do have an options for properties and we can export and import those on the format of animations and render images where we need to show our output productivity at the end of a project or with the starting also if we are developing certain conceptual models to it we can do that as well with a refined and encouraged way on the starting point of a project as well. So this is how basically the interface is, and it's quite dynamic. You can work up, and even these things like if this is a tree, and if I'm changing over there on the Revit portion and I'm syncing the file to this file, it will automatically update my model over here as well. So that is how these things are interpreted. So yeah, I would end this now on a good note, and hope you all would have liked and and it would have been a meaningful session for you as well. So if any questions you have, please, you feel free to ask, please. So we shall end this now and we will close this session if anyone is not having any questions further.